For years I called it love, the check-in, the questions about where I'd been, the sense that I was always one wrong word away from a bad night, the way my world got quieter and smaller until it was mostly just her. I told myself all of it was love, that she cared, that this was just what a close marriage looked like. It wasn't love, it was control. I'm J B Wick, former Royal Marines Commando and a veteran of UK Special Forces. And in my last video, I told you how a man trained to survive almost anything couldn't survive his own home. If you haven't seen that one, it's the whole story. I'll link it for you. This is the video I promised you at the end of it. The quiet signs I missed, the things I mistook for love, that were actually the machinery of control. Before we go any further, one honest word of care. This video talks about domestic abuse and coercive control. If that's a heavy place for you right now, look after yourself. There are support links in the description and you can come back to this anytime. And if you're watching this with a knot in your stomach, because some of it sounds like your own life, I need you to hear the next few minutes. You are not imagining it, and you are not the only one. If you appreciate me making this kind of content, gently tap that like button. It genuinely helps this reach the person who needs it tonight. So, let's begin. Here's the first thing I have to explain, because without it, none of the rest makes sense. Coercive control is almost impossible to see from the inside, and there's a reason for that. It doesn't arrive looking like abuse. It arrives looking like love, like care, like attention, every single sign I'm about to walk you through. I had a loving explanation for it at the time. That's not me being stupid. That's the design. The whole thing works precisely because each piece on its own can be explained away as something tender. You don't notice a room getting darker if the light fades slowly enough. You just adjust, and then one day you realise you're sitting in the dark and you can't remember when the sun went down. So let me show you the signs, the way I actually experienced them, not from a textbook, from my own marriage. The first sign was this: she needed to know where I was. At the start, I loved it. I'd been in a world where nobody asked, where you disappear for weeks and no one checks. And suddenly, there was someone who wanted to know when I'd be home, who I was with, when I'd landed. I thought, this is what it feels like to matter to someone. But it didn't stay there. The wanting to know became needing to know. The needing to know became a problem if I couldn't answer fast enough. A missed call became an interrogation. My phone stopped feeling like mine. I told myself it was love, that she just cared where I was. It wasn't love, it was monitoring. And the tell is simple. Love relaxes when it's reassured. Control just needs more. The reassurance is never enough, because the point was never reassurance. The point was that I always knew I was being watched. The second sign was that my world got smaller, one friend at a time. There was always a reason, and the reasons were good ones. This one was a bad influence. That one didn't respect her. This group was holding me back. Family visits became tense, then rare, then easier to just not. And I told myself it was closeness, that we were building our own little world, just the two of us. Doesn't that sound like love? Wanting to be each other's everything? It wasn't love, it was isolation. Because here's what isolation actually does. It removes every person who might have looked at me and said, mate, this isn't right. It takes away your mirrors. And when there's no one left to reflect your life back to you, the only version of reality you get is theirs. If you're sitting there realising your world has quietly shrunk, that the people who used to know you have somehow fallen away, I want you to notice that. Not who left, but how they left, and who was standing there each time with a reason. And listen, if any of this is landing a little too close to home, do me a favour, drop one word in the comments, just one, whatever you're feeling. You don't have to explain it. I read them, all of them. Sometimes one honest word is the first time a person has said anything true about this to anyone, and it matters that you're not carrying it completely alone. The third sign was that I was always the one apologising. I couldn't always tell you what I'd done, but the argument would end with me saying sorry. Somehow, whatever had happened, we'd arrive at the same place. My fault, my apology, my promise to do better. I told myself that was maturity, being the bigger man, keeping the peace. I was proud of it, if I'm honest. I thought a strong man swallows it and keeps the household calm. It wasn't strength, it was training. I was being trained, slowly, argument by argument, to accept the blame for the way I was being treated. And once you accept that the problem is you stop asking the far more dangerous question, which is, why does every road lead back to my apology? Walking on eggshells isn't peace. It's a full-time job you didn't apply for, managing someone else's moods so the storm doesn't land on you. The fourth sign is the one that frightens me the most looking back. I stopped trusting my own memory. We'd have a conversation. I'd remember it one way. She'd tell it another, and she'd tell it with such certainty, such total confidence that I'd got it wrong, that after enough times I started to assume I was the one misremembering, and slowly I stopped being sure of anything I remembered. A trained Special Forces soldier, quietly wondering if he could still trust his own mind. I told myself I was just tired, stressed, bad with details. It wasn't a bad memory. It was reality being slowly rewritten until I no longer trusted my own version of events. And that's the most dangerous point of all, because once you can't trust your own judgment, you can't leave. You outsource reality to the very person harming you. You have to check with them to know what's true. Now, quick pause, because I don't just want you to feel something and move on. I want you to be able to take a step. I've put together a free guide. It's called The Quiet Signs. It's the 10 quiet ways coercive control shows up, the ones we're walking through, and a few more, and the first step out. It's the thing I wish someone had put in my hands years earlier. It's free, it's private, and you can read it at your own pace. The link is in the description and the pinned comment below. The fifth sign, my wins became problems. Good news at home didn't land the way it should. If something went well for me, a bit of recognition, a good day, a moment of pride, it would somehow curdle, get downplayed, turned into a reason I'd let something else slip. Praise, when it came, had a hook in it. I told myself she was just being honest with me, keeping me grounded. That real love tells you the hard truths. It wasn't honesty, it was undermining. Because a person who loves you is lifted by your wins. They don't feel threatened by them. When your successes consistently become your faults, that's not someone keeping you humble. That's someone keeping you small. And small is easier to control. The sixth sign. And this is the one that kept me hooked for years. Cruelty, then tenderness. It was never all bad. That's what nobody tells you. There would be a cold spell or something cruel, and then sunshine, warmth, the person I fell for, back again, tender and loving, like the last few weeks hadn't happened. And I told myself that the warm version was the real her and the cold version was just stress, that if I could get us back to the warmth and keep us there, everything would be fine. I thought that push and pull was passion, that the intensity meant we had something real. It wasn't passion, it was a cycle, and it's the strongest glue there is, because the tenderness after the cruelty doesn't feel like an apology. It feels like relief, like coming up for air, and you will chase that feeling for years, mistaking the relief for love, never noticing that the person giving you air is the same one holding you under. Now step back and look at all 6 of those with me: the monitoring, the isolation, the apologies, the rewriting, the undermining, the hot and cold. Underneath every single one of them, in me, was one belief. And I think it's the belief that keeps strong people trapped the longest. I believed I should be strong enough to handle this. I was the capable one, the one others relied on. So surely, whatever was happening at home, I could manage it, fix it, absorb it. Admitting it was abuse felt like admitting a failure of character, and for a man whose whole identity was built on being unbreakable, that was unthinkable. So I stayed quiet, and the shame did exactly what it's designed to do. It kept me silent, and silence kept me in. If that's you, if you're telling yourself you should be able to cope and feeling ashamed that you can't, please hear this from someone who trained for a living to withstand pressure. This is not about how strong you are. The tactics I've described work on strong people. They're built for strong people. Recognizing that is not weakness. It's the first clear-eyed thing you can do, but I have to be careful and honest here, because this next part matters more than anything else in the video. Recognizing it is not the same as being ready to leave, and leaving is not simply a decision you make on a Tuesday. If you're still in it, please don't do anything abruptly tonight, because a video stirred something up. The moment a controlling person feels they're losing control can be the most dangerous moment of all. If any of this is real for you, the safest next step isn't a dramatic exit, it's quiet information and real support. Be careful how you look for help. Abusers often monitor phones and devices, so use a safe device or a private browser if you can, and clear your history, and reach out to people who do this properly. I'll put the UK support lines on screen and in the description. There is no weakness in calling them. I wrote about all of this: the signs, the years I lost, the escape, and the long road back, in far more detail than I can fit here. It's in my book, Breaking the Silence, A Veteran's Journey from Abuse to Freedom. If this is landing with you, the book goes much deeper, and for a lot of people, it's been the thing that finally made them feel understood. So, here's what I most need you to take from this. If you spent this whole video quietly recognizing your own life, the checking, the shrinking world, the apologies that were never really yours to make, then you already know something you've been trying not to know. That's not paranoia, that's your own judgment coming back online. It wasn't love. Love doesn't need to monitor you, shrink your world, rewrite your memory, or keep you small. Love survives you having other people, other wins, and a mind of your own. What can't survive those things was never love. It was control. You are not weak for missing the signs. They were built to be missed, and a soldier trained to survive anything missed them too. If this reached you, hit that like button and subscribe, because I'm building this whole channel for the person who thought they were the only one. You're not, and I'll be right here. How all of this actually happened and the turning point that brought me back. That's my origin story, and you can watch it right here. I'll see you in that one.